Seeing as we've actually had some summer sun recently, we thought we'd celebrate and drive a Bentley Azure convertible on this week's WhatCar.com podcast. We'll also see how travelling by train can be greener than travelling by car. We'll take a look at a new coupe concept from Kia and a new 4x4 from Ford, and we'll see how rude words have changed the number plate system in Scotland. We've also got a roundup of other news with Tim Bowdler, and we'll take a look at some great new WhatCar.com content. Right, first some numbers. The Bentley Azure is 5.4 metres from that end to that end, which is very long. It weighs more than 2.5 tonnes, which is very heavy, and it costs more than £220,000, which is very expensive. This Bentley has a big 6.7 litre V8, which is enough to bring the car from 0 to 62 in just 5.6 seconds, thanks to 444 bhp. That's fast for a car of this size and weight. Combined fuel consumption, though, is an eye-watering 14.5 on the combined cycle.
But what's it really like being in a £200,000 car? Does it make you feel special? Does traffic part like the Red Sea in front of you? Of course not. You're going to get stuck in the same traffic jams, and unless it's a traffic jam in Park Lane or Beverly Hills, you're going to get stared at too. You need to be delicate with the throttle to avoid lurching away from the line ungracefully, but generally speaking the Bentley wafts along just as you'd expect, even if it can still shudder on some rough surfaces. Each of the 4 passengers has bucket loads of space, but those in the back could well find their expensive hairdos and wigs being given a real workout by the wind. You'll get loads of leather and wood, electric seats and sat-nav, but you won't find other luxury basics like automatic wipers, doors that pull themselves shut quietly, or a boot that closes electrically. These pipe organ style air vent controls have a wonderfully damped feel, but other switches are plastic and identical to those you'd find in an Audi A4, for instance. The steering wheel, bizarrely, doesn't have any adjustment for reach, and besides the cruise control you can't operate any of the car's other functions, like the stereo, from the wheel. So, for a car that costs hundreds of thousands of pounds, it's mostly what you'd expect, but perhaps not everything you'd imagine. An amazing thing to experience and an exotic gem to own, but it's fabulously expensive to buy and run.
A new report has some people arguing that travelling by car could be greener than travelling by train, but only if the train isn't full and only if you're not driving a car like this.
The Rail Safety and Standards Board reported that the most advanced diesel-powered trains in use in the UK, the Virgin Voyager, emit 112 grams of CO2 per passenger kilometre, compared with 131 grams per kilometre for the average car. So, said some corners of the car lobby, load up your Focus and you're greener than going by train. Not quite, said the Rail Board, which argued that comparing full cars with only partly loaded trains isn't exactly fair. Still, a drop in CO2 output from railway engines isn't likely to happen soon, as they can last for up to 30 years. Average CO2 output from cars, however, is expected to fall below 100 grams per kilometre in the next 15 years. The report's author, Professor Roger Kemp, concluded, the difference in emissions between cars and high-performance trains will narrow, and it will be increasingly difficult to make an environmental case for transferring people onto diesel-powered railways.
Ford and Kia have both released pictures of their new cars, which will be unveiled at the Frankfurt Motor Show in September.
The Ford Kuga goes on sale in the UK next spring, to take on the likes of the Nissan X-Trail and Honda CR-V, with a price tag starting from under £20,000. Kia has also released a teaser shot of its coupe concept, which has been designed by former Audi TT designer Peter Schreier. Look out for it and loads more cars from Frankfurt on WhatCar.com in September.
Rude words have had the number plate system in Scotland changed.
The authorities were worried that SN07 number plates to be issued in Edinburgh in March would offend people, as they could be read as, well, snot. So, Edinburghians instead got TN07 registration marks instead. Hooray!
Here's Tim Bowdler with a roundup of some of the other week's news.
It's been a busy week for news. Most interesting is this study by BMW. Now it's called The Secret Life of Cars, and it's in this very fancy booklet, and if you move it up and down you can see the eye winking. It's an anthropological study and examines the relationship that humans have with their cars, and the results are fascinating. I should be so lucky, 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 lucky. Sorry. The survey revealed that you're more likely to be singing on the way to work than you are on your journey home. And also that women are more likely to have 2 hands on the wheel, whereas men will have 1 hand on the wheel. And finally, that men are quicker at getting out of their cars than women. For men, it takes about 8 seconds, whereas for women, about 10. The government is considering a number of proposals to try to cut the number of deaths amongst young drivers. Among them is a 0 alcohol limit, raising the driving age to 18, and a new rule to stop young drivers carrying teenagers during nighttime hours. Skoda has revealed its new Fabia estate. It's bigger than its predecessor and prices are expected to start at £8,500. It's due out in 2008. Kia, as you know, has been offering some great deals, but none as good as this. It's offering a free car-ins to a mum expecting quintuplets. Now quintuplets, that's 5 babies before you ask. Now we don't want to be cynical and suggest this is nothing more than a headline-grabbing stunt, but the last time a set of quintuplets was born in Britain was in 2002.
That's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back next week and we'll have lots more.